On Friday, Kevin and I went to the Soiled Dove. I think you have a history there, Seth. To see Gerald Albright, who's a jazz saxophone player. It was amazing. He told a story about he has a 2.5-year-old grandson, Gavin, and he was up with Gavin one morning early, and Gerald says, "I'm not a cook at all," and Gavin was hungry. So he's like, "Papa, I need some food." So he gets out some Cheerios and some blueberries and puts them in 2 separate bowls, no milk, and he hands one Cheerio to Gavin, and then he hands one blueberry to Gavin, who eats them, and then he goes. And Gerald said, "Oh, that was so cute. I want to get that on camera. Do you think you could do that again?" And Gavin says, yeah. So one Cheerio and one blueberry. And he said, "Oh, I just love that. That's so cute. I'm going to write a song about that." And he did. And you can find it on YouTube. It's called The G Wiggle. And I share that because strength, we're talking about strength today. And strength, spiritual strength, is not rigid. It's wiggly. It's wiggly. It moves. It bends. It's flexible. It's not rigid. So anytime I say, "Let's try all that, can everybody wiggle a little?" We say, we can call it the S wiggle, the strength wiggle. Anytime I say strength, you could feel free to wiggle. You can stand up and wiggle if you want, or stay seated and wiggle, whatever, it doesn't matter. But think of a palm tree. I love palm trees. Think of a palm tree that can withstand hurricane winds. As we were sitting in the silence, did you hear the wind? It's really strong today. Think how palm trees just bend with the wind, and they're so super strong, but they're not rigid. They don't snap in half like something that is rigid could with a very strong wind. It's the same with spiritual strength, that we move, we bend, we flex. And palm trees are grounded they have very long roots. Just like we can be grounded in our faith, with long roots with our faith. It's important to have something that we believe in, to know what we believe in, where we're putting our faith, and then be steadfast in it. I love Unity's teachings of the 12 powers, and strength is one of our 12 powers, our 12 spiritual abilities. We call them abilities, we call them powers, because they're our capacity to use in consciousness, not necessarily in our action, but in consciousness, where everything starts. We have our power of strength, our ability to persevere, to be persistent, to be steadfast, to hang on. I always somehow get some kind of song stuck in my head. This week it was "Hang On, Help Is On the Way." You know that song by Little River Band? I'm not going to sing it, but that's what's been stuck in my head. Hang on, hang on. It's the power of strength. And we can move with power of strength. It doesn't mean we don't draw a line in the sand and say, "This is it, no matter what, we're not going to change." No, we move with grace, with our strength. We adapt when we get new information. That's being strong. That's being spiritually strong. From an ego point of view, we're always using these 12 powers, whether we realize it or not. We're always using them in consciousness. So from an ego consciousness, we are underdeveloped in our power of strength if we can't stick to something. If we find we can't stick to a diet, we go from relationship to relationship, or we go from job to job. We can't stick with something. We haven't developed that ability to persevere, to stay with something. And an overdeveloped sense of strength from an ego standpoint would be somebody who is stubborn or forceful or inflexible. This is the way it is, and this is the way I see it, and it's not changing anything. From a Christ consciousness, which is what we want to develop, It's our ability to persevere, to be the best we can be, to stay in that, keep trying to be the best we can be. Don't give up on that. Hang on. Hang on. In The Chosen, and this is the last time I'm going to talk about The Chosen for a while, I promise, because I'm done with season 3, and season 4 won't come out for at least another year. So, but if you've been watching it, Andrew is the apostle that's associated with our power of strength, and he is the one that is steadfast in the show. He's the one that never gives up, never doubts, always staying true to his faith, staying true to the teachings of Jesus. And Andrew is that apostle. And Charles Fillmore did this with the unity teaching, is took one of the 12 apostles for each of the 12 strengths, each of the 12 powers. So this is Andrew. It's also associated with the small of the back, which is where we get our strength, where it protects our core, protects our whole upper body. We can hang on because help is on the way. Hang on. In one of the books, I have many books on the 12 powers, and there's lots of them, but one of them is by Paul Hasselbeck and Cher Holton. And in the beginning of that chapter on strength, there's this quote from the book of Isaiah that goes like this: "Those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." I love that quote because we wait on the Lord. That is our strength, waiting on the Lord. And now the Lord is not some Lord outside of us. It's within us. It's our own I am. It's our own Christ identity. We wait on that, meaning we wait until we have guidance from that I am. It means we don't react rashly. We don't lash out. We don't react so quickly. We wait for the guidance that is there. We wait on the Lord, and when we do that, we're renewed in our strength. We're renewed because when we have that guidance and it's clear and we know it, and we can respond in a loving way. How do you know it's not from the ego? A lot of people ask that question. The ego's is demanding. It's urgent. It's loud. It insists on getting its way. The I am, divine guidance, is softer and quieter. It's more like a nudge. And it's always loving, never harmful. To wait on the Lord doesn't mean to react out of impulse or anger, but to slow down and to respond out of love, to plug into that divine current. To plug it in. It doesn't mean we're not doing anything. We got to tune in. Wait on the Lord requires us to listen and be still. Have the ears that hear that guidance. We renew our strength when we do that. And then to mount up on wings like eagles, with wings like eagles, means to lift ourselves up, move past that boundary. Lift yourself up out of that reactionary way of being, out of our patterned way of being, and come to a higher place, come to a more loving place, a more peaceful place. We need wings to soar. We need wings to take flight. We need wings to use our imaginations and dream. Wings help us soar. So mount up on wings like eagles, and eagles represent the freedom. They represent strength, victory. Victory over those nagging ego thoughts that come to us. And we all have them because we're human, living in a world with other humans. So victory over that. Now, the power of strength works very closely with the power of faith, which we talked about last month. Because you have to first have faith in something Know where your beliefs are, and then be persistent in those beliefs. And this is evidenced in our unity teaching with Peter and Andrew, who are brothers. They are close. So faith and strength work closely together. Know what you believe in. Know where you're putting your faith, where you're putting your trust, and then hang on to that. Help is on its way. Help is on its way. So you need to know, are your beliefs based in truth? Are they based in truth principles? Or are they based on what the world tells you you should be, you should do? It's a big difference. Or are they based on what other wounded souls tell you you are, what you should be and do? During tough times, it's easy to get stuck in negativity, right? We've all been there. In self-doubt. I've been there. I've been there a lot lately. What voice am I listening to? What voice are we all listening to if we're in a place of self-doubt? It's not the voice of love. It's not the voice of truth. It's not the voice of spirit. And so we have a choice when we find ourselves in a place of doubt, self-doubt, questioning who we are, questioning what is ours to do. We can give it up, or we can let it consume us. So Wednesday is the beginning of Lent. And in the Catholic tradition, as I grew up, you always gave something up for Lent, like chocolate or alcohol or, whatever. Something that you really like, that you don't want to give up. It's a sacrifice. In Unity, we teach, yes, release something that's no longer serving you. Give up something that's no longer serving. Practice releasing something that is standing in your way of being all you came here to be, of being your best self. And so I'm giving up self-doubt this Lent. That is my giving up, yeah. Because when we're in a place of self-doubt, that's a catalyst. It's not the end. Do you see how it can be just a warning sign? Oh, I'm not in the right consciousness. It's not the end. The end is never that. It's love. It's peace. It's joy. So don't let self-doubt or any negative emotion that you're hanging on to be the catalyst, or be the end. Be the end. Let it be the catalyst for you. Let it be that which pulls you out. In Linda Martella Whitsett's book, she has a book called Divine Audacity, which is about the 12 powers. And she said, strength takes stability and courage and tenacity. And she uses the example of David and Goliath for strength. David, you know the story. David is a young boy, and he wants to fight this monster of a guy named Goliath. And the Israelites have been really afraid of Goliath. And David, this young boy, says, let me do it. I'll do it. I'll fight him. And he's just this young boy, and King Saul wants to put his armor on him, and David says, no, it's not me. We have to come to our monsters in our own authenticity, in who we are, not someone else, not putting on someone else's identity. And he has courage. He has stability. He is stable in his beliefs that he knows he can conquer that monster. And courage to go out and do it, and tenacity, that toughness to just go and do it. And he knocks him down with one stone with a slingshot. His God was bigger than that monster, is what he said. Something along those lines. Probably not that language exactly, but I love how Linda Martella Whitsett says this in Divine Audacity. In the light of spiritual strength, monsters are revealed as illusions. We face them undaunted. As is slaying them with the launch of a small stone, we defeat them. I think I got that wrong. By standing stable, courageous, and tenacious. Charles Fillmore, who's co-founder of Unity, taught that spiritual strength always overcomes the seemingly strong personal and material conditions. We can overcome. We can overcome. Great song for this morning. This month is Black History Month. And if anyone has been inspired, like I have, about our Black brothers and sisters who have overcome, they've overcome a lot. What great examples of the power of strength, of being stable and courageous and tenacious. Great examples. I want to share with you some that we don't normally talk about, some that we don't, there's so many that are famous that we often bring up, but there's others too that can be inspiring to us. We can use that word inspiration that we have for our Season for Nonviolence. The first is Claudette Colvin. She was a 15-year-old Black girl who refused to give up her seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, 9 months before Rosa Parks did. She was in a seat with 3 other friends. They were towards the back of the bus, but as was customary when white people got on the bus and all the seats in the front were taken, the bus driver had the right to tell the Black people to move farther back. There were no more seats available when this happened, and Claudette and her friends were told to move back and stand in the back of the bus so that this white young woman could sit down. Her friends got up and moved to the back, but Claudette didn't. She said, I have a right to sit here, and as the segregation laws were, a Black couldn't sit on the same row as a white. The bus continued on, and at the next stop, there were police cars waiting to take Claudette off the bus. Took her into the squad car, told her to stick her hands out the window, which she did, which then they handcuffed her. She was put in a holding cell, not in juvenile court, but in an adult jail cell. There for 3 hours until her mom and her pastor could come in, bail her out. She could have been the face for this movement, for the civil rights, as Rosa Parks was 9 months later. But they didn't want a teenager as the face. Claudette got pregnant soon after, and they certainly didn't want an unwed pregnant girl as the face of the civil rights movement. So her story went unknown. Let's show a picture of her. That's 15-year-old Claudette. Strong, courageous, tenacious. She later told her story when she became an adult. Another one is Sadie Tanner Moselle Alexander. It's quite a name. She shattered multiple glass ceilings. She was a Philadelphia native who was the first Black person in the nation to earn an economics degree, to earn a PhD in economics in 1921. 3 years later, she earned a law degree and went on to become the first Black woman to pass the Pennsylvania bar and practice law in the state. She accomplished this all the while facing bitter racial tension and prejudice. As a first-year undergraduate student at the University of Pennsylvania, she was told she couldn't check out books from the library. A dean at the University of Pennsylvania wouldn't allow her or lobbied against her being elected to join the university's law review. She persevered and made the law review anyway. Let's show her picture. Yeah, Sadie Tanner Moselle Alexander. Yesterday, Kevin and I watched a movie with Will Smith called Emancipation. Anybody see it? One person. It's with Will Smith. It's on Apple TV. And it's based on a true story of a man named Peter, who was a slave in Louisiana. After Lincoln had declared that the slaves in the South were free with the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, Peter escaped. He knew that if he could get to Baton Rouge, he could join the army there, the Union Army, and help fight for the cause. He would be a free man. And in the movie, they portray Peter as this very religious man, deep faith in God, deep faith, persevering in his faith as he's captured, as he's tortured, as he's helping other slaves. Deeply religious, and always praying. He travels for like 10 days, and I'm not sure exactly how far it was. It's either 40 or 80 miles through the swamps, through the bayou of Louisiana, facing lots of other dangers in the swamp, alligators, snakes. And he makes it. It's a really hard movie to watch. I'm just warning you, if you watch it, it's really hard to watch. How he's hounded and chased after. He gets to Baton Rouge and joins the army, and just told that he tells them his name is Peter. He doesn't have a last name. He doesn't know how old he is. They do an exam of him because he had lots of wounds from his travels, from his beatings. And they see his back is all scarred. He had been whipped a few months before his escape. And they want to take a picture of him. You see, in the North, people were growing weary of the Civil War. It had been 3 years. They were thinking, maybe the slaves aren't treated as badly as we think. So they took a picture of Peter's back, and it was easy to copy it at that time, this particular picture, and they spread it around the North for people to see this is what slavery does. You can show the picture. This is the actual picture. You don't have it? Uh-oh, sorry, don't have it. There's an actual picture of Peter. Will Smith does a great job in this movie as well. They really were able to copy the scars on Peter's back. And it turned the war around. It got the Northerners, again, re-engaged in ending slavery. Ending slavery. What a amazing example of the power of strength Peter was. Persevering, believing he could make it, believing that when he got there he would be free. Strength, the power of strength. So why is this important to us today? I think we need to look back to learn where we've been so we do better. So this never happens again in our country, in the world. So it never happens again. Continue to improve in how we treat people, not just in slavery, but with our words, with our thoughts, how we treat people. And know that we have the ability to stay steadfast to our beliefs, those beliefs of goodness, those beliefs of truth, of beauty, that we all have that within us. Stay true to that. We don't know how powerful we are. We can change the world with our thoughts from the inside out, with our strength, with our faith. Everything happens first in consciousness. So start there. start within you. Hang on. Help is on its way. We can look at those who faced insurmountable odds and be inspired by them, knowing that we too can do that. We can face our own challenges. So what challenges are you facing right now? What's going on in your life? What are your beliefs about those challenges? Are they based in truth? If not, look inside. Look inside you for the truth. Hang on to that. And during Black History Month, which is through the end of February, I encourage you to learn more about the struggles of our Black brothers and sisters. Be inspired by their strength, their faith, their perseverance, because we too can develop this ability. Hold on to those beliefs of love and oneness, which we are called to do and invited to do in this life. This is what we're here for. We can do this. We can be the best Christ we can be. I want to leave you with a poem by Mary Oliver. I just love her stuff. She says, "To the beauty that is within you, my friends, I say, let it shine forth. This is a time of mystery, a time of deep healing. You are definitely going to be delighted by the strength you find while living fully in times such as this." So, know your strength. It's in there. It's within you. Namaste. Peace be with you.